That's it. Okay. So here is my apricot. Yes.
Very similar to mine.
Casting a horrendous shadow. Let's put it over there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think if I was going to draw it just as it was sitting here, or even if I was going to hold it and draw it, because it's, I could actually start like this. I'm going to move my board down a wee bit over here. Okay. So there's a little bit where the stalky bit goes, and then it's got this sort of indentation, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Yes. And then there's the top bit, sort of comes like that. And then there's this other bit. I'm just going to do it a little bit bigger than it probably is.
Yeah.
Comes like so. Yeah. Now, it's slightly narrower at the bottom, actually, than it is at the top.
Yes.
Isn't it? Would you agree?
Yes, I would, yes.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, when I look at it, I can see that here, because the light's not getting at it, that this part of the apricot is slightly in shadow. So it would help to put some sort of tone on your drawing, I think, because otherwise it looks flat. Yes?
Yes, I have tried to, but not as much as you have,
Yeah, and again, this little indentation, there's the light doesn't quite get into it, but so you can draw it, sort of weight it up at one end, leave a gap, then bring it in at the bottom there. I think maybe I've been a bit generous about the top here. There we are. That's better. Yes, I think yes. You need a bit of one. This edge could be a bit darker, so you could put a bit more charcoal on it. I would suggest, well, you've got to use your rubber or your finger, whichever you prefer, but yeah, that's better. So I think just go back to it and have another look.
Yes.
Yeah, I think,
thank you.
Yeah, that's the answer. It's sometimes it's the tiniest of touches that you can make to something that actually make it more convincing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not, I don't know, it's not anything very major. I'll just go out a wee bit. I think that looks sort of apricotish.
It does.
And the other thing is you have to be, you have to be quite gentle with charcoal. I know it's a big medium and it makes black marks, but you can. What I've always said, and I don't know if I've said it to you before, Gillian, and everybody else in the group, be aware that when you're using your charcoal, it does have, you can turn it as you're drawing, and you can achieve a really fine line, as well as a sort of a thicker, more sort of bold, chunky line, so do explore what you can do with the charcoal. Don't just use it always on one edge and have one weighted line going around your shape. Like I said, there's where it goes into shadow, or where the light can't get to it, you can actually sort of put a bit more of a contour line round your form. But where it comes up into light, then get rid of it. Don't make hardly any line at all around the edge. Like I've done there with the apricot. It's definitely darker over here. Now, if it was on the table, probably the shadow, the cast shadow, would be near this dark edge. I'm holding it, so it's a bit tricky to see that, but I think that's what I would probably imagine will be happening, is that where the light's coming from the right, hitting the object, casting a shadow on the left, on the opposite side, and at that point, you know, you can make the shape have a bit more of a contour on that edge, but certainly not on the top edge where the light's hitting it. If I'm trying to draw, say you've got your avocado shape, it's sort of like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you're putting tone in, you can use your charcoal, if you remember, on its side. You can go around in circles like this, and then you get your finger and soften it, like I'm doing, like so. And this edge here, this bottom edge, which is near the table and near the cast shadow, I presume, I would make darker. So get my charcoal and I lay it on quite thick, soften it with my finger because I don't want it to look unnatural. And again, make this edge, you can emphasize it by just going over it a bit with your charcoal. So it's a little bit darker,
yeah,
stronger. But at the top here, you could almost rub it away. The eye will fill it in for you. Can you see that?
yes.
And you may have to go back and put a bit more on. I mean, you know, it's a case of playing around with it, really. But I think, or even on the surface of the avocado, you might have to put a little bit more tone on it. Because all this bit has got to be darker. That way, you end up with something that looks three-dimensional rather than something that looks flat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
You can have a little dot or a little line at the top here, so it makes your eye go round the shape, you know.
Yeah.
Back to the single strawberry, Shelley. If I enlarge mine up, so I sort of get my contour of the actual strawberry itself, I can see that where the leaves are coming from is about here on the strawberry. Can you see that well enough? Am I going in close enough for you? Yeah. You may have to unmute yourself in order to communicate. But okay, so the leaves, I've got one that's sort of lying on the top of the strawberry. That's kind of like this. You have to remember that they are growing out of this part here, which is where they were obviously attached to, or the flower, whatever it was. Then I'm just looking at them individually, and I notice the next one is going like this, and then there's one that's in front of it, so it's foreshortened and twisting up, like so. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
So you kind of got to look at the movement and what's going on with each of these little leaves, you know, and just, you know, use your charcoal in such a way that you have control over what's going down on the paper. And do you remember when we were doing the belt, I said shapes cross over each other? Well, this is exactly what happens with these leaves of the strawberries. They bend over, and then you get sort of something like that happening. Yeah. You see it?
Yes.
I've got another big one that's coming towards me, like so. And then there's one more on it in a profile, so it's longer now on its side here, and another one that goes out sort of like that. So when they're in profile, or you tend to see more of them. When they're actually foreshortened, like this one here, so if I just do it larger, foreshortened, it will be wider, shorter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're putting in tone, which you haven't done on your strawberry, look at the strawberry. Where my strawberry is touching the table here, all this part of the strawberry is more in shadow.
Yes.
The light is not getting to it, so I've got to put some tone on it, and then it will become more three-dimensional. And then it's got these little seedy things, which, you know, on it like this.
Yeah.
And again, there's a patch of tone over here. So I use my charcoal quite quickly to get that tone in. And then up here where the light is getting onto the strawberry, there isn't very much tone at all. And even this line, you know, which is I drew initially, I'd almost get rid of it, you know. So the only place where there might be a bit more line is at the front here, at the bottom, where it's hitting the table. Sorry, it's losing its shape now. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you put the seeds in with a lighter colour?
Sorry?
Would you put the seeds on in a lighter colour?
I'm only using charcoal, nothing else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. You couldn't put it on with white.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that we just keep to charcoal and make the charcoal do the work for us tonight. There shouldn't be a reason for, you know, for starting to introduce other medium. Okay? I mean, obviously, you can in the future, when you're doing it on your own, you can use whatever you like. Yeah. But I'd like to, you know, everybody to explore the charcoal for this medium and see how they get on. You know, you can achieve some wonderful things with it. As I say, it gives you enormous variety of light and dark charcoal, unlike a pencil.
Yeah.
So really, you know, work with it. Use your finger to soften it, or you can use a paper towel if you'd rather, or if you've got a little precise rubber like I have, then that's very helpful because you can get in and into small spaces with it. If you haven't got one, then you need to cut your eraser into a small piece like this, which you can use.
So you could use the rubber for the seeds then.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can use your rubber to lift things out as well. Yes, definitely. I'm going to now start my main drawing, and I think we should all of us do the same, because it's now 7 o'clock, and I think that we've all of us probably done enough practicing, or I hope so anyway. Now, Chris asked me which way up should you have your paper. I think that is a very personal choice. I like to have my paper in a portrait format. So I've got my paper on my board in what I call a portrait format. The reason I like it like this is because, you know, when I was doing this sketch earlier on today, I thought, well, the main subject, the basket with the fruit, I will have sort of in the middle of the page, but I wanted to leave room in the foreground for the sort of scattered fruit that's on the board itself in front of the basket, because I think it's like those images I sent you, the one of Cezanne. He does it quite a lot. He often has the main bowl of whatever it is with the fruit in it, and then he has the apples scattered on the table, and it adds to the interest of the composition. So this is why I'm suggesting using the paper first of all in portrait format. Now, I did start, when I started with this, by drawing the contour of the basket. So I got the basket in the correct proportion. So I think if you could all, first of all, just, if you haven't already done so, could you draw your basket shape? And then I'd like you to show it to me. Okay? So I will start a new drawing. I'll give you 10 minutes, each of you, to get your basket shape on the page. So it's in the right proportion. So you've got a sense of the height and the width, correct? It may not have little handles like mine. It might be a shallow basket. Don't take it right out to the edges of the board. If it is a shallow basket, then it may be the case that you want to turn your board around and work in a landscape format, but I'll leave that to you to decide, okay? Don't have the basket so high up on the page that you don't allow for the fruit that you're going to draw in the basket, and also there needs to be some space above that fruit so that it's not cramped in the page, in the paper. So it's the positioning of what you draw is also very important, as well as the individual shapes. And we start, when we're starting any composition, really start with the biggest shape first, get that placed down well on the page, and then we work from large to small in terms of the focus of the drawing. And initially I would just do an outline, so you've got a silhouette drawing of your subject, basket and fruit and all, and then we can begin between us to decide, you know, where the tone should be and how to develop it. Or you'll probably have to make that decision yourself, but you can discuss it with me if you need to. So let's get the basket down first. That's the first thing. I want to see the basket on your piece of paper, and I want you to show it to me in 10 minutes time. So I'm going to put my drawing out the way, and I will start drawing, and you can watch me if you like. And, you know, begin your drawing yourself, okay?